I was able to see an early screening of Stephen King's The Life of Chuck, and today I got 4 points for you that are going to help you decide whether this movie is a movie that is for you and that you would like to see, or maybe it's a movie that's really not for you and you may not want to see it. And that's going to lead me straight to my first point. And that point is the movie is very artistic. If you like an artsy style of movie, then I really think that you're going to completely enjoy this movie. But if it's not your thing, then I don't think you're going to enjoy the movie at all, and you're probably going to be a little bit bored with it. Now, there is a lot of symbolism and subtext that is all throughout this movie. You really have to watch the movie very intently from beginning to end to be able to understand and catch all of that symbolism and subtext that's going on. Now, that is no more apparent than the very first act of this movie, which is absolutely brilliant. I love the way that they did this first act of the movie. You're kind of left a little confused and wondering what's going on, but as this first act plays out, you start to slowly understand what is happening. And once you're able to connect of what's actually happening and how they're symbolizing that on screen, it's just a beautiful thing, and I think it was done extremely well. Now, also, they tell this story in a very unique and a non-traditional manner. And that kind of leads me to my second point. Now, this point is something that I didn't really care for in the movie, and that was the plot. It's not that the plot overall was bad, it's just that there are certain parts of this movie where things are just poorly explained or just not explained at all. Sometimes there's just no context. Like if we just had some context as to what's going on, it would have made it a little bit better. And the majority of this happened in the third act of the movie. Like the first act of the movie was pretty much flawless. You kind of don't know what's really going on, but they do a great job by the end of that first act to tell you what's going on, and everything else that came before that now makes sense once you know what's going on. The second act of the movie doesn't have much to do with the first act and has a little bit of a connection to the third act, but it's okay. There's not a whole lot going on that needs explaining or context, but it does an okay job. But that third act, there is just a lot going on that there's no explanation or context to. There is a brand new plot point that is introduced here that doesn't connect to any other part of the movie, and I don't necessarily know why it's there or why it needs to be there. I don't think it needs to be there. The movie is by Stephen King, so this specific plot point makes sense for a Stephen King type of movie, but I don't think that plot point had to be there for this movie to be a good movie. It just kind of added a little bit more confusion and just makes you wondering like what's going on. Also with this plot, it wasn't that it was slow, but it just didn't feel like the movie was necessarily going anywhere. Like I didn't feel that midway through the movie that I'm just like, man, I'm just wishing this movie would end, or man, that movie felt like forever. I didn't have that type of a feeling, but a lot of times in the movie, I was just kind of a little bit bored, just kind of wondering like, where's this going? Why, I can't see where it's headed. So because of that, the plot just didn't really live up to my expectations. But despite the plot not living up to those expectations, that does lead me to my third point. Now, despite the issues with the plot, I thought the acting in this movie was just phenomenal. There are several really big name actors and actresses in this movie like Tom Hiddleston, Mark Hamill, Chiwetel Ejiofor, and I'm sorry if I messed that name up, and also Karen Gillan. They did just a great job all the way throughout this movie, and even the lesser known actors in this movie just did a really good job portraying the characters that they were given. And this was, again, no more apparent than in the very first act of this movie. When you're able to understand what is going on in that first act of this movie, and you see the way that the actors are able to portray that and to bring in the emotion and bring that whole scene and all that imagery to life, you will just understand what an absolute great job they did in this movie. But despite all the good acting, there is one acting point that they really blundered on, which leads me to my fourth and final point. Despite all the phenomenal acting in this movie, they absolutely wasted Tom Hiddleston as an actor. Tom Hiddleston is a fantastic actor. I love Tom Hiddleston, but he, in his character, is the main character that this movie is about. And he has like maybe 15, maybe 20 lines in this movie at the absolute max. And he doesn't have that much screen time. He has barely any in the first act. He's got some and a good chunk in the second act. And he has next to none in the third act, very little. So the movie's about his character, but he's not really in it a whole lot, and he doesn't have many speaking lines. And I think they really could have just had any actor play that role if they're not going to play on his strengths as an actor. I just think that it could have been done by anybody, and they just kind of wasted a really good actor on a movie that didn't really need it. Now, for my overall thoughts of this movie, I thought the movie was just okay. There were parts that were absolutely amazing and fantastic, but then there were other parts that were just kind of boring or slow or just didn't make any sense. So it just kind of had this balance of going back and forth of being really good and just being just eh. So because of that, I give this movie a 6.0 out of 10. Now, if you really enjoy artistic movies, you may give this movie a little bit higher of a rating. And if you don't enjoy artistic movies, you're probably going to give it a low end. Now, I will say that the opening act of this movie, that first third of this movie, is worth just seeing this movie for. I thought it was just brilliantly done. And I think even people who aren't into artistic-y movies will be able to enjoy and just appreciate the greatness of that first third of this movie. That being said, I want to know what you guys thought. Let me know down in the comments. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a like and subscribe to the channel. That way, you're not going to miss out on any future movie reviews or movie trailer reviews. And since you're here, why don't you go check out this video right here. I hope each and every one of you have a fantastic day, and I'll see you in the next video.